I want to introduce you to a group of fantastic filmmakers who are going to talk to us about representation and diversity. Well, welcome to everyone. I am so very happy. It's great to see so many black and almost black faces. I know you guys don't mind me saying that. It's just wonderful to have that, because the issue we have in the industry is that there isn't enough representation. So for me, having the opportunity just to show you and just to tell people, here are some amazing people doing great work and need more of a platform, and need whose work needs to be showcased, and who are so talented, and all of that is just fantastic. So literally just you being here is wonderful. But I wonder if we can just start off with the introduction. So Jen, welcome. Would you like to tell us who you are, what your film is in the festival, and what work you do generally?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jen Shaw. I'm a writer-director of Afro. Afro is a short coming-of-age film about a Black high schooler encountering American identity politics and just, dealing with that kind of struggle in her own transformative way. So very timely, I think, right now to talk about a lot of those discussions. As a filmmaker, I do a lot of coming-of-age sports content. I'm an award-winning filmmaker in the sports realm, and also do a lot of narrative projects that are coming up, and I'm a signed commercial director. So I think for me, it's always about creating stories that have meaning behind it. And a lot of my stories come from just my experience growing up as a Black woman, Black child in America, and sharing kind of it through my lens. So I really love panels like this, because I think it gives us an opportunity as artists of color to discuss some of the challenges, and also some of the great things that we're able to do in our unique perspective that should be applauded and celebrated. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Beautifully said. Yes, and not just celebrated, but you add something different. And the jury say that all the time. You can tell when a film is directed by someone who is different, because it brings such a fresh perspective, and it's just wonderful. My job is one of the best jobs in the world, I think. But thank you, Jen. Sergio, you're up next.
Hello, my name is Sergio Guerrero. I was born and raised in Mexico City. I came to Los Angeles to study film school. And since then, I've been involved in a couple of projects that I'm very proud of, like a film called A Day Without a Mexican, which was an independent film that made a lot of noise around here. And I'm the producer, director, co-writer on the movie Intolerance No More. And Intolerance No More, it's a film about an encounter between an African American woman and a police officer. There is an event that is captured by 4 cameras, and each camera tells a different story. So we decide to make this movie with no professional cameras. We just have iPhones, security cameras, chest cameras from the police. So the cinematic language is very, very interesting. Besides that, I think there is a very strong message. So in behalf of my diversity crew and myself, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Sergio. It is a fabulous film. I'm looking forward to screening that and to talking to you some more on Saturday evening. So that's wonderful. Thank you very much. Martina, we actually spoke to Martina yesterday, or was it it may have been a couple of days ago, when you shared a little bit about your film, but a lot of people may not have seen that. So please give us the whole shebang all over again. Welcome to the round table.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Again, my name is Martina Lee. I'm the director of Black Boy Joy. It's a short film about 3 generations of Black men dealing with the loss of a loved one, but also dealing with raising a Black boy with autism. I graduated from USC about 2 years ago, so I'm kind of relatively new to the Hollywood world, as you would say. I'm also working on 2 other short films coming up this year. Hopefully, I'm in pre-production with one of them, and looking to get funding and shoot the other one later this year. And I'm also working on a TV show as my day job. So currently just writing and producing, kind of doing whatever I can right now. The films that I usually kind of direct are mostly geared towards really family-oriented films about, family relationships between like a mother and a daughter or a son and a father usually. But usually in the realm of like drama comedy. Black Boy Joy is not a comedy; it's a straight drama. But usually my stuff is kind of geared towards a comedic lens as well. So that's me, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Martina. Thank you so much. And Martina, despite her surname, is not related to me. And I say that because I will introduce you to someone who is related to me later on. I wish you were, Martina. We're sisters anyway. But thank you again for being with us. It's fantastic. So next up is Joan. Joan, welcome. We are delighted that you are here. Please tell us about yourself and your project.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you very much for having us. My name is Joan Iola. I'm one of the co-writers, co-producers, and I also play Daisy in Dolapo is Fine. Dolapo is Fine is a short film, and I'm sharing space here with Martina Lee, because we've also just been at another festival together.
Oh, fantastic.
To give you a little bit of an insight into Dolapo is Fine, it's surrounding a young girl who's at a very British boarding school. She's pressured to conceal her natural hair and to change her name. She buys a wig, and that hair leaves her questioning its uncertain origins and also her own identity. This is a very celebratory film. It has a wonderful tone that, Chibundu, who's my co-writer, is also on this panel as well. We've talked about it in a lot of the time about this being a story of Black girl magic. Like, we are here for telling positive stories. So a lot of the things that I'm interested in with my production company, Apatan Productions, is stories of hope and humor. Because, sometimes our stories are veiled with a layer of darkness that isn't our full experience. So I'm here, and along with the other filmmakers here, to share stories of positivity, to move this conversation forward in an active way. Thank you, Jenny.
Oh my gosh, you guys make me want to cry. Thank you, Joan. That is absolutely beautiful. Oh, this is why I Will Tell exists. Thank you so much. Next up is one of our upcoming actresses who is also related to me, I'm proud to say. And Ellie, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about the work that you're doing at the moment?
Hi, I'm Elle, or known as Isabel. I've just graduated from drama school, so from Drama Studio London on the 3-year BA. And so I'm entering the world of graduation life. I've just been working with Macady. We're working on kind of an idea which is kind of like a TV show based on the experiences of being mixed race. After kind of struggling to find material for my showcase that was suitable for me without being pushed in certain directions. So this idea came to light, and we've kind of been collaborating together and brainstorming ideas on how to kind of show these experiences, but in a comedic way, as people tend to learn through comedy.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Ellie has actually given me a personal education on understanding the difference of their mixed race identity, because it's really easy just to think, okay, they're all Black or they're mostly white, but it's a unique identity with its own pressures and its own difficulties. So I think that's a really important thing to include in this conversation. So if I can just ask Tim to just keep on going through the gallery, and I will see who we've got next. Chibundu, I know that Joan has already talked about the film that you've done, but would you like to tell us a little bit more about your work as a writer on this film and generally?
Hi guys, thank you for including me in this. So yes, I'm usually a writer of fiction novels, written 2 novels, and Dolapo is Fine started off as one of my short stories. And Joan was the actress who read it on radio, and that's how our sort of collaboration came along. So I'm new to this sort of film and television space, but I am looking to write more for film and television. yeah, there are just so many stories that need to make it to screen. And I'm more aware of it now that I have sort of nieces and nephews that are growing up and they just don't have enough content. They still don't have enough content. I didn't have enough content when I was a child, and they don't have enough content. So yes, we need new stories. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes, more power to your elbow in bringing us those incredible stories. And finally, we have Macady. Welcome, Macady. Now, Macady, well, I'll let you introduce yourself. Thanks.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. My name is Michaela Amoroso. Like Elle said, I am also living the graduate life. I've just graduated from East 15 on the Acting Contemporary Theatre course. I'm an actor and award-winning playwright. I'm working on a project with Elle, but I wrote a one-woman show called Blue Beneath My Skin, which debuted at the Bunker Theatre last August. It was part of a festival called This Is Black, and I was inspired to write it because I didn't see many mixed race stories out there. I didn't really see myself represented, and as I was saying before, the sort of, the dichotomy when you're caught between being, black and white, that it gives you your own identity and your own experiences. So I was really keen to explore those. So I wrote a play about this girl she was 17 years old. She was abandoned by a canal when she was a baby, and she was subsequently adopted by a white family, and she grew up in a white area. And it's sort of about her coming to terms with her identity and how the insecurities and vulnerability she has with that has an impact on her relationships, both, in family, friendships, and romantically.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Macady, and welcome. We're looking for Macady's actually going to do a little excerpt from her monologue at the closing gala awards ceremony. So that's going to be exciting. Thank you so much for sharing all of your talent with us. So I just want to start off with the obvious, just well, perhaps not the obvious, but the thing that's happened recently. That's very related, that would have hit us all really hard, the passing of Chadwick Boseman and all the work that he has done and that Black Panther has done to raise the issue of representation and inclusion within the film industry. So I'd love just to get your thoughts. Just feel free to go as you want on how his passing affected you and what you think it means for the industry.
I think just knowing his body of work and just seeing the impact he's had on Black representation, the types of projects he chose to portray, whether it be like the Jackie Robinsons or the Marshalls or Black Panther, was very impactful. So obviously the reaction to his death, I think for me as an artist and not knowing someone personally, I found it very personal in a different way than sometimes when you hear about other passing, because we all know death is a part of life. But I think why it's been so impactful for people is because obviously it was a shock and unexpected, but I think it was more about having someone so young that was able to portray so many Black celebrations, is what I call it, of arts and legacy in such a very mature way that was well beyond his years. And I think to have him pass, and a lot of people didn't even know he was even sick, and to understand that during his like short span, even in Hollywood, he was creating a legacy and a body of work while he was sick is just also amazing. Like, I went to NYU, he went to Howard, but those are like those schools that where we just, there's legacy there and it's meaningful. And especially I think for Black Americans, like going to Howard and just being someone that was full of pride for Black history, it's just also fitting in a sad way for his story. So I think that I'm really proud that I was alive to see his work and to see him grow into such an amazing mentor, and just to see little kids all over the world feeling like, especially little boys, Black boys, feeling like they can be anything. Is so profound and so impactful that for me, like, everyone always says Wakanda forever, but I'm like, it's Chad Boseman forever. Like, he will always be someone.
King Chad.
He left his mark, and I think I'm really excited I'm sad that he's gone, but I'm excited to see that so many people have embraced what his legacy is, and because I don't think it's going away, and I think he's left so much, such a presence that will be carried through other artists that knew him and up and coming ones. So I think I'm just trying to find, a way to always point to his work and go like, what a great example for Black people around the world, and what a great human being. Because I think that that's what's really important. Black Panther's great, and I think that movie has changed the medium. And again, now we have conversations, as some of the other people said, about less about the Black experience, but also making sure we're celebrating the experience. Like,
Yes.
we fall in love, we laugh.
Right.
We're not always like race, everybody second.
Right.
So I think that that's what Black Panther did. And I think that's what all his works did, right?
Yes.
It celebrated Black people. So
Yes.
I just leave with that. I think that the upside is that we got to be in the presence of someone so powerful in human form. So he was like a king on earth. It's really amazing.
Oh, fantastic. Anyone else want to come in on that?
I really do remember the first time I saw Black Panther. I'd never really been interested in Marvel films at all, or superhero films. It was just a genre that I never really kind of grabbed my attention. But I do remember going to see it with my cousin in America, in Florida, the first time it came out, and I was just astounded by his performance, and I was just engrossed in the entire thing. And it's a pretty long movie, right? And I was just with him the entire way. And then later as well, I saw him in this role of James Brown, and again I was just astounded by the level of transformation as an actor. And that's a lot of work, physically, mentally, emotionally, to be able to transform yourself into another person that's already a legend as well. Or had a sort of kind of like a big following. It was just incredible just to watch, and to know that he was working through being sick and really ill. I don't know how he copes through those long hours of filming. I mean, that's just incredible. I mean, I know people who, they have a headache and they already want to leave after being in a rehearsal room after half an hour. So it absolutely shows his complete dedication to the craft, and his work ethic, which I just absolutely admire.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
I wanted to add that I watched an interview where he spoke about how he turned down certain roles at the beginning of his career, even though they were big roles, but it didn't fit into the narrative he was trying to create for his career. And I think, especially as someone at the beginning of my career, like that sort of, not to go from that scarcity mentality when an opportunity comes, and feel like the right opportunity will come, and not feel that you have to take everything because you just have to get your name out there. I think that really spoke to me.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I also just want to say that, like, it's really rare that we are able to see, like, there's not a lot, like, it was really rare to see a lot of heroes in the Black community, especially the African American community. And I think, and our heroes have kind of changed over the years, over time. And it's less about, they may look different or seem different. But I think for him, he played a hero, multiple heroes in a lot of different of his films. And I think that's just something that, I will always treasure. And I think it's just also just a huge loss of a human being and a soul that has contributed so much in such a really, really, really huge way. Yeah. And I think I definitely felt saddened, even though I didn't really personally know him, but it was like she said, like a very personal loss to me as well. As someone that I felt like could have had a really, really long career, and it was just sad that it was cut short. But I'm also really proud that the legacy that he had, not just as a Black person, but also as a Black man.
Yeah, Fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, the obvious kind of proof that there is so much bias within the film industry is the numbers, right? The numbers don't lie. So there have been lots of different kinds of research, and you can pluck any one of them out of the air. But one of the ones that I've seen recently is a stat that looked at 53,000 characters in the 12 more than 1,200 top films, and there were only 27 people that had black people that had leading or co-leading roles. Can I just get your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll start there first. I'm an actress, and so the Dolapo's Fan is the first short film that I've made, and I would say that has been born out of the statistics that you talk about, Jenny.
Mm.
Like early on in the career, you would sort of realize that you'd get to a certain point and then you wouldn't get a role. And there could be a myriad of reasons surrounding race that, I mean, there are myriad of reasons anyway as to why you wouldn't get it. But also when you put race into it, it was to do with where that film was being distributed.
Mm.
If in a character breakdown, it said any for a role, so it might say Joan, any. A lot of agents would send only their white clients up for those roles.
Wow.
Any meant white.
Wow.
So there were so many reasons that you could see as to how this happened and how this was sort of evolving, but it didn't reflect my experience. It didn't reflect my family's experience. It didn't affect the people that I was within the industry, or particularly when looking at sort of black talent. There's so much of it within the UK sphere, but not everybody was rising at the same level.
Yes.
And so my eyes started to turn to, you look left and you look right and you kind of go, well, who's going to do it? And then it's all you say, well, it's me. It's me. It is a time we will do the work to figure out how we do it. But in order to change those statistics, it needs the people of this panel to step forward and say, okay, I'm going to be a part of that. And actually, do you know what? Let me tell the stories of my community, and let me look for those novelists. You know, the partnership of me and Chibundu is exactly that, without naming it. It's kind of going, where are the collaborators? And there are so many, and they're out there. They don't all have to be in film. They can be in music, they can be in art, they can be cinematographers. But actually, when you start looking, you go, we have a community, but we kind of just need to sit collectively to change those numbers together. And I think it is possible. The numbers are there, and to me, they're always going to make you feel, they're there to sort of make you feel, they're there to sort of bring you down. And in a way, I kind of look at those numbers and I kind of go, I could contribute to bring those numbers up.
Yes.
And I think that is the role that we all have.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much, Joan. Anyone else on that? Elle?
So from my personal experience, I recently had a one-to-one with a casting director, and I remember he turned around and said to me, well, there's not many roles for black actors, but you're mixed race, so that's fine, you should be able to get a little bit of work. And just hearing that made me feel incredibly uncomfortable, because especially myself and what I've seen on TV, you know, if the role is supposed to be the character is black, they will tend to go for someone who is light-skinned or biracial. And I realise that it's my duty as an actor to recognise that and to recognise the roles that I'm potentially going up for. I myself, I wanted to, you know, my promise to myself and to the community is that I would never take a role that is meant for someone who is fully black. I am mixed race and that's my experience, so therefore the characters that I play should either be mixed race or colourblind, and that's that. Why would I, you know, really want to take the role from someone who is, you know, effectively not going to get seen, just because I would fit a commercial stereotype to please certain audiences. And I think as well I'm still seeing as well in terms of like the leads do tend to be predominantly, again, white or biracial. It's just very, very rare, you know, that you'll kind of constantly see a black lead. So therefore, I think going up in drama school and watching shows constantly, and then when a teacher asks, you know, what do you see yourself in, and you're sort of like, well, I want to do X, Y, and Z, but is there a space for me, or am I going to have to make my own work because those characters don't exist? And as well, kind of pushing against the I feel like through my 3 years, I've had to push against the street urban type, which is normally forced upon you when you're choosing pieces to showcase yourself in front of agents and casting directors, because that's what they see you as. Even if your personality or your experience or your upbringing is actually completely different, and even if you've had no interaction with that kind of environment, that is essentially what they will force you to see you as. So again, it's about looking for those agents, looking for those casting directors that are like, I see you. I'm not going to force you to do those roles. I'm going to put you up for everything, and we're just going to focus on you as a person, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to add what Ella's saying. I think that one of the major things is there's this myth that things that are casted or led by talent of color, and specifically Black talent, it doesn't sell. It is international. It's a lie. It does sell. You know, we all know the show called Blackish literally has Black in its title. Most of the viewers aren't even Black. It's a hit show. There's movies that do the same. I go to film festivals all over the world. Black talent are making ridiculously amazing work from different points of views. It's just not getting picked up. So I think that, to everyone's point, it's the content is there, we're making it, and we're really making it from different perspectives, because no racial group or ethnicity is monolithic. So we're doing the work. I think that, you know, that myth coming from, like you were saying, talent agents, casting, directors. I'm a director who always thinks of colorism and race in casting, and I'm very intentional about it. But coming up, I couldn't be as you know, bold as I wanted to be. I learned to be bold. I mean, also, you know, as a female director, that's another battle that I could get into.
Right.
So I'm like, now I'm very bold about what I want. I mean, it was harder when I was going up, and we alluded to that with Chadwick Boseman. Early in his career, to be so bold is rare, and it's very hard. I think that but that's where it starts. It has to be agents, talent, casting directors, you know, because you don't have a lot of control as a talent who they pick. And I think, again, if we keep going along with this myth and feeling like our content isn't valuable, it will allow it to be devalued. And I think I'm so excited, because I do think we're making strides. I think I am. If I look at when I was a little kid until now, I see so better representation of Black people options. It's not enough, not nearly close, but I think we're pushing in the right direction. So I think it's right now the responsibility of, like, white people that are in power, for them to also get on board. I think we can't have this onus be on the only Black director or the only Black producer. They can't do it alone. I think that we need white allies to step up and go, you know what, we optioned this great feature. She wants a Black lead. Let her have a Black lead, because we're going to sell and promote it and allow that to happen. Yeah. Because I do think a lot of this is a financial myth that stops us from moving forward. And we do need white, like, owned studios to move the needle, as well as creating our own stuff. And being, you know, whether it be Black or representing mixed race or representing any lane of ethnicity, we must control and create our own and tell our own stories. Because no one can tell a story better than we can. So I think all of that it's complex, and it's not going to change overnight. But I think, obviously, festivals like this are where you start, and how it keeps continuing.
Thank you. But I just wonder what you think about the film industry as a whole and your hopes for change, and whether there are any people that you admire that you think we should really be kind of lifting up and getting them to take some of those positions that really bring change to the industry.
I mean, I can talk to my experience. I've been in the industry a little while. Some of my mentors have been like Spike Lee and Nima Burnett, so I'm like, I guess I'm not that old, but I feel like I've been around the block a while. But I also fondly remember just coming out of school, trying to figure it out, or doing my first project. And yeah, I think that we really have a unique opportunity. Like, I think, you know, COVID mixed with heightened awareness, you know, Black Lives Matter movement, and just this kind of understanding that, media is so powerful, and just kind of this reassessment of the industry has helped. I don't know if you guys have been seeing, but like everywhere they're like, send us your scripts, Black writers, we want to include you, or like writers, you see it everywhere. And there's been this kind of performative ally kind of sense, like it's like Chase, and they're like Black Lives Matter, but you're like, when I look at your boardroom, you don't have any Black people in it, and you don't have any Hispanic people in it at all, and when you represent diversity, it seems to be only white women apply. So let's talk about that. So I do think that, again, I think it goes back to really basically forcing our hand. I think this is like a political issue. This is a media issue. It's like, we have enough at this point, people of color in the industry with money. Like, they exist. I've seen financiers. Oprah's not the only one that has money. Tyler Perry's not the only one that has money. And I think, the obligation, definitely we have to make sure, be accountable, and make sure that our Hollywood circle is pushing up the next. Like, I'm doing what I do as a director, and I have mentors and mentees, period. Like, and I'm making sure that along this ride, no matter what it takes me, whether I end up being a Hollywood level director, they're going to be up next. And that's my duty. That makes me sleep at night. And that's how I feel like I can move the needle. But I think it's also investing, being here as, a sounding board to young artists, because this industry is not easy. And I'm still, again, when I talk to the Nemas, they think I'm a baby. And they're like, you've only been around for 10 years. What do you know? But because it's tough. It's tough when you're a white man. Like, so can you imagine layering on, a race, and that's an other, and I say other with like, the intent of saying like, we are the majority of the world. The majority of the world is not what there are different markets, and there's markets in Africa we should be tapping into. There's so much untapped potential in our own people that we're just starting to discover. So with that said, I think Hollywood at its core is going to change at the snail's pace of political biases and agendas are going to change. And we have seen that is a snail's pace. Like, the same conversations we have today are the same ones my parents had in the 1960s. And it's a shame. So it really starts with, we have to go back inward and go, how can we help our community and the people that look like us, and make sure that we're giving them opportunities. I don't want to accept, as my projects get bigger, you see it in my crew. You see my crew is, I did Afro. I could probably say this with confidence, 90% of the production heads were women and women of color. Like that was just, but that's me. That's what I reflect. And so that is where you can move the needle, because my PA, I bumped her to AP, and she just called me and she's like, I got an AP job at a network, and she's going to be a producer one day. And she's going to cast you, and she's going to like, and that's how it moves the needle. That's how this works in the industry. And that's the only way that we can jump over some of those hurdles, because I don't think the hurdles will go away tomorrow. It's going to be I always say it's a marathon, not a sprint with this stuff. But we're talented, and it's undeniable, because you have to be talented if you do anything as a Black. Like, if I'm a director on a set, I'm on point. It's like, I wouldn't be there. Like, when people like question me, I have to come with PowerPoints and presentations to win awards that my white colleagues can just be like, I'm here with the backwards hat and I look like a director. Give it to me. Like, that's really the difference here. So I'm just saying, like, it is not. They even acknowledge it. It is really bizarre, but you just have to, unfortunately, be above and beyond. But you guys, and I wouldn't, if we weren't good, we wouldn't be here. So there's no question of the Black talent.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, and I was just gonna say, like, I feel like a lot of it as well is a grassroots issue, in a sense of, like, we talk about Black history, but no one ever talks about white history, and because history is history, Black history, white history, they're interlinked, they affect each other, it's history, right? And so until things are sorted out as well in the education system, which leads on to drama school as well, until you get drama school with enough diversity in it, and diversity on the staff as well as the students, we're going to continue to have these issues. And it goes to just for saying as well, until you have people of color on the casting panels, then are you going to have people getting cast as fairly or as well as you would do how it is currently? I just thought I might.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Makedi. Sergio, I wanted to just get your opinion as someone who is not Black but also from an underrepresented group, and you chose to do a film about an African American woman. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in the industry and why you do some of the work that you do?
Sure. Yeah, I do believe that it's part of the culture, and not only in the United States but all over the world. That they put you in a box as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. So when I came here to Los Angeles, you have to fill up an application, and I filled up that I was white, because in Mexico I'm white, and
right.
Here they say, no, you're not white, you're Hispanic.
Yeah.
So they have to put you in a box. So every time that I walk into a room that I have to pitch my projects, I come in like a Mexican director, and I say, no, I'm a director. I'm not just a Mexican director. Yes, I'm Mexican, but I'm a director.
Yes.
So even though the last 4 years or 5 years, Mexican directors has won the Academy Awards, but the truth, I think I believe that the change will start in the writers' room if we have minorities in the writers' rooms, and also we need to change and in the top as well, because the people that takes the decisions are only white people that are taking that are giving you the green lights for the big projects.
Yeah.
So that's really where I think that the big changes are coming from. If we have writers and directors, that of course we will cast minorities in our films. So yeah, for me, my experience has been that people don't understand why a Mexican director wants to tell a story about an African American woman. Mm-hmm. But I say it's something that is happening to us. It affects us. Police brutality not only affects the African American community, it affects the Latin American community as well.
Yeah.
So everything is together. We are just one. As the COVID-19 has shown us that we are all in this together. We are in this together for sure. And so every time that we do one step ahead is for everybody, So yeah. So I do believe that there's this awakening of hope lately because of COVID-19 and the protests and everything. I do believe there is an awakening of hope that is going to change. Yeah. At the end of the day, this is going to affect us all, and I think I see hope in the future for sure, and things are going to change for sure, and we're going to make sure to change them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I just want to piggyback off of Sergio a little bit and just say that I've always had a lot of hope. I wouldn't have spent so much money on film school and even pursued a career in this genre if I didn't have hope. Because that would be just looking at the numbers, you would be like, I ain't doing that. That doesn't make you would be like, no, I'm not doing that. Does not seem like it's gonna fit me at all. But because all of us here on this panel obviously love what we do and we're passionate about it, because if we could do anything else in the world, we would do that, because that's probably way easier. And I think that we are, as artists, we feel the need to create regardless of who you are. I think that's inherently the thread that we all kind of share. I definitely think that there is a lot of hope in this industry. I think obviously COVID-19 and Black Lives Matter has heightened that hope.
Yeah.
I just also hope that it's not a fad. Because as we've seen in the early 90s with Martin and all of these really awesome TV shows in the 90s that got basically Fox Network got reinvented by all these Black creators who created all this really amazing work, and 4 years later, after they made all the money, they went back to being okay, we're gonna go white again.
Yeah.
When he's trying to make Making Friends and
Yeah.
Frasier and all that stuff. Like, I love all of those shows, no shade, but like, I just don't want 5 years later to be like Issa. Like, I think the reason why Black content creators are making so much now is because we don't want, like, it's like we have our moment and we don't want it to go away. So like, that's why you see Issa Rae like doing a million different shows at one time. That's why you see, you know, like Lena Waithe literally doing like 10 different shows all at the same time, because we know this industry very well, and what, you know, it's really just about money. At the end of the day, it's about the bottom line. It doesn't matter. Like, I think money is really like the barometer of like of how Hollywood is going to change. And Hollywood doesn't change on its own. It's not like it's going to be like, oh, we really love Black people. They're going to be like, oh no, Black people make us a lot of money. Let's do that now. So it's like, I'm not going to give Hollywood a lot of credit for being super progressive, because they aren't. It's a money. It's really about money, and it's a business. And in saying that, I just feel like us as creators, I think in order to change any of that, I think, like everyone said here, it's like you have to have people of color at every aspect of the business, where it's like agents, managers, you know, studio heads, whether you're like the crafty table, like you need to like, you know, sit at the crafty table, like, you know, you need to hire your hair and makeup person, like everyone has to, like, hiring people of color, and not just people of color, but like, let me just be clear, like, it's not just women, it's not just, but like also like disabilities, like there's so many other aspects of diversity. Diversity is like a big clutch all thing.
Yeah.
But like, if you talk to an Asian American, they're going to be like, where is my insecure? You know what I mean? Like, if you talk to, you know, a Muslim American, they're going to be like, oh, where is my, you know what I mean? Like, Romney's the only thing on TV right now that represents my culture, and that's not necessarily who I am. So it's like, there's so many different aspects of diversity that need to really be talked about, and it's not just obviously Black, like, you know, Black American, and obviously like internationally as well. Like, I'm from the United States, so I can speak more to that, but like the Black diaspora is like really broad and wide, and has so much story, and so many people, and so many aspects to that. But inside that, there's like so many other microcosms of diversity that really need to also be explored. And I think now is a really great time. I'm glad that like people in Hollywood are like, Black people, where are you? And we're like, we're here. We've always been here. Like, we, you know, like, we need, like, they're like coming up with names and lists and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know what list you're looking at, but like, I'm here, sis. You know what I mean? So I am hopeful, but I also know Hollywood, because they've done this before. And so it's just a matter of, in order to change the system, you have to change it at every single level of the game, so that in 5 years from now, they're not going to be like, oh, we're done with that, with the Black narrative stuff. We're done with that. We're going to move on to something else that's going to make money, that we think is going to make money. So that's kind of my role.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to add to that, actually. Maybe more of a question for all of us. I read this Forbes article about Tyler Perry and how he became a billionaire. And he kept stressing in the article how he owned his own content. So at every stage of his career, he has owned his own stuff, and it's made him be able to be independent of Hollywood. And it made me think that as a writer who's trying to break into television, like, I'm not sure how to own my own stuff, how to go about. And I don't know if this is something that everybody else has thought of, or is thinking of, or it's something that's on your mind, about sort of keeping that control so you reap the financial benefits of your hard work.
I could speak to that a little. Well, I think the one thing that, you know, content aside, and my judgment on Tyler Perry's content, I always keep it real with people. Judgment aside on what I think of his content, he started out with plays on the chick lit circuit. So that's just, you know, again, a Southern play circuit, which he owned the rights to all the play as a playwright to the content. And then I believe, and I don't want to speak incorrectly, he then rolled that when he did get his first deal, he was able to keep those rights because they had already had a following and he was already making a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So I think like it's kind of similar, and Issa Rae probably doesn't own all her rights. And Tyler Perry does have business partners and studio partners. So I think like owning all your rights and having control is like a fine line. I think he has more control than most people do, and he owns more rights than most people do, but he does have partnerships and deals with studios just like anybody else. I think, it's kind of like similar to Issa Rae in a sense too. It's like, if you create something and the people come, you're always going to have more control of, that final product because you've already proved you can make money. It's like, take me or leave me. So when you're leveraging those deals, you can always find more of a way to say, well, I already got an audience, Lionsgate, what are you going to do for me? And that's when you're able to negotiate more. So yeah, I think it's always good for, don't have an idea, have a script. Don't have just a script, have a sample. Mm-hmm. Oh, have the whole series. Like, the more you can do and on your own, and then build an audience because, you can be making things all day if people aren't watching. How much leverage is that? But even there to have proof of concepts and things, Afro right now is a proof of concept for IFP Week, and we have a series. So this short has helped me parlay it into a series, and then I'm talking to studios about it. And sure, could I have taken another year and can I do Afro, the series, and do it myself? Sure, and then sell it for more? Maybe. But I think each creator has to choose what lane that works for you. Tyler Perry's story is kind of like the exception, not the rule to me. Like, I think I'm so happy that brother's been able to figure it out. But for most people, anybody, that's really like, that's an ideal that we want to do. But it's not always like the ability to do it. Most people parlay their ownership and their rights at a success. So you get that one series deal, you get that one script made, you might not make as much money and stuff, but that next one you have leverage because you've shown them you make money and you're a voice. Lena Waithe probably got a crappy deal on her first film or first series. And then now she's like, well, I'm Lena Waithe. Like, this is what I want. So I think that to me is the most general experience and the most practical approach. But, I walk into rooms and I'm like, I'm black. The blackity blackest screenwriter, director. Like, I lean into my culture and who I am because that's just me. Like, I can write anything, I can direct anything, but I'm just like, this is what you get. Like, and so like, take whatever works for you, your point of view, and parlay that into something they can't replicate, they can't duplicate, and you're gonna make more money. Because if they need you and your name attached, you're gonna be able to say whatever money amount you want. And that's kind of where you have to get. It's like brand building. What's your brand? Tyler Perry has a brand. His brand isn't great to me. Like, I don't love his shows and I don't love his screenplays, but I can't knock his work ethic and I can't knock his brand he's created because that's making him a billionaire. So, I just say that it's brand building even more than your content. Your content might not even be that great. That's all I got to say about Tyler. I'm going to let it go.
I'm just going to jump into that as well and say, and this is something that, I run an arts organisation in the UK as well. And it's something that I pass on to Elle and Makadi. All the stuff that you're doing is just like music to my ears. I can't wait to see what you create. But it is that sense of know the four aspects of the industry. If your brain can work to that, and it can sort of step outside of the creativity and understand the business, really start to understand it and how that differs. Because the stuff that Jen is saying as well, so far that's been my experience in America. It's slightly different in the UK. In the UK, you can kind of have more of your rights or open up to that dialogue a little bit more, which is why sometimes you see some British talent starting a project in the UK, but then bringing on an American studio or developer in the development period or in when they're making that first pilot. But it means that they've held on to a little bit of their rights. Mm-hmm. And in the same vein, if you can kind of work to those contracts, it's just about asking the question, isn't it? It's about who you're collaborating with and kind of going, I just want to know, just curious. Tell me why this rule looks like this and tell me why it's this way. And then also I'm going to tell you a little bit about my mission. And here's my mission. So I'm going to give you the bigger picture so that you understand the person that you're collaborating with.
Uh-huh.
And some people will be hard and fast and be like, absolutely not. It's just not the way it works. I need you to get your first thing and I need it to be successful and then talk to me in your second series.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's something that I'm sort of like dancing a little bit with the norm. I sometimes think if you get stuck in the norm, once you're in it, you don't quite know how to climb out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the earlier that you can start having an understanding of these sort of questions and these contracts and what they look like and who is involved and who created them, the better. Even if they don't shift immediately, you'll be going in a more powerful position because most people don't even ask the question.
Yeah.
And I think the same is said for if you're starting to get a project off the ground, understanding funding will help you understand these conversations. So that the work that you do for funding applications, as tedious as they can be, really equips you with the language to understand about rights and contracts. And I only say this, I'm not so like this SWOT on this. I studied law before I went into acting. So it just is something that has always sort of come naturally to my head where I'm kind of like, well, why is it like this? Everything can be amended, no? So it's just that it's just a dance you have to play. You won't always win it, but what if you do and you start your next project in the right way that pushes things forward?
Thank you, Joan. But I wanted to ask people, I know when I think about some of the stories that we've shown in the festival over the years, it's really difficult, we've talked about the difficulty of getting funding, we've talked about the difficulty of getting film companies to pay attention, and as a result, some of the stories that get told don't represent us very well. So I remember we did a film called Life of a King with Cuba Gooding Jr. that tells the true story of a man who learned to play chess, and he created a chess group in his local community and used it to help bring the young people out of, just take them off the streets and give them something positive to work with. And it is Cuba Gooding Jr., right? And it was a really good film. And it took him years to get that funded. And he said, literally, people said to him, a black guy playing chess, like, good luck with that, right? We want to see our black men kind of being drug addicts or being criminals or being, they literally just had no concept of a black man being outside of that box that he had been forced into. So I just wanted to, I just love to hear about some of the stories that you're doing, that you've heard about, that you're interested in, so that we can just start putting out there stories with black people leading that are, like we talked about, just being ordinary people who fall in love and who who have relationships and who sometimes just have a life without focusing in on some of the hard issues. And that's a core thing about representation, I think. It's not just about saying, yeah, the hard issues. And I'm passionate about hitting the hard issues because I think we need to deal with them, or else they will just get covered under the carpet. But it's beautiful to have ordinary stories. Looks like we've got Oris with sound now. This is wonderful.
I was able to catch. First of all, my sincere apologies. I was able to catch the whole thing of Cuba Gooding trying to, get this film fronted. And here is an Oscar winner, correct? Okay, so recently. I was talking to Raoul Peck. I don't know, you guys, you all know who Raoul Peck is. I'm not your Negro. And he said, Oris, you will not believe even the fact that I was nominated for an Oscar, won a BAFTA. And this was, he's saying how difficult it is to get some films of his done. Now, this is a man that's done some work. He's done some great stories like the Lumumba, Sometimes in April. You've seen his body of work. But to hear that can strike some sort of daunting in your heart as a filmmaker, or as as someone like myself who has a film company. And two things run through your mind. Do I go on a cheap to do this out of my pocket? Do I have the attitude of, you know what, I'm tired of the excuse, which many of us right now in my generation are doing? Mm-hmm. Do we do that? And then when we do that, when we take it to the film market, would they purchase it? Because it's not of what they expected. We didn't put in the 4 or 5 million. We don't have that budget for that film agent.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of reality smack in the face. And it's only until, thanks to the sacrifice of one man, George Floyd, all that's changed. Why is it taking that now for everyone to pay attention? And the funny thing, it's flipped around, because now, every one of us are like, you guys are going to have to wait for some good content. We're going to get back to you guys now. So the table has turned. And from a filmmaker's perspective, we, at this point, especially people of color, it's in our DNA to work hard. We know how to work hard. I don't know anyone who says they make films and they're not hardworking. That's because, first of all, you have to deal with pressure from our community, our parents, our community is looking at you like, man, you should be a doctor, you should be a lawyer. What are you talking about? You make films. And heaven forbid you're a woman in film. It's like, what? You're not a lawyer? You make films. Oh, interesting. So with all that behind us, we have no choice. As I'm looking at everyone here and I'm scrolling through, I could just see the faces of incredible, hardworking individuals who want to get this done, come hell or high tide. So it's interesting time, and it's interesting times, and all I could say is this is more so than ever for us to keep going. Mm-hmm. We can't lose focus. We have to keep going. I'll leave it at that, because I kind of I just stepped in a bit just hearing that.
Yes.
And I'm not surprised.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Absolutely. Well, we're glad just to have you give us that bit of encouragement at the end, and we'll come back to you for some final words. But we do need to start winding up because it is getting on. It's past 6:30, and I know we'd like to keep going. Just getting to the bottom of some of these issues. But I would just like to give you all the opportunity just to share about what it is you're doing to change the narrative of diversity and representation and inclusion within the industry. And I know some of you have already talked to that a little bit, but it may be that there's some information you want to put out there that you need support with, you just want people to hear about what you're doing, or it just may be a comment that you're making to those in power, just however you want to address the issue. And then we will ask Oris just to give us some final words at the end, just to encourage all the filmmakers who are going to be listening into this as well, and people who are wanting to get into the industry, people who are already in the industry and have given up or are struggling through. It's important that we keep supporting and encouraging and sharpening each other to keep going, because there are so many things that come against us. So I'll really leave it up to you to start when you're ready, just to share what you're doing and what you'd like to see change, and how you're going to be part of the change of that narrative.
That I run a production company. It's called Apatan Productions. It means storyteller in Yoruba. I am of Nigerian descent. The work that I'm doing is around TV series and adaptations. So I have a couple of film ideas and a couple of TV series that are in development. I'm also really just not interested in making my own stuff. I'm really interested about opening the door and bringing others through. So I'm always interested to learn about what other filmmakers are doing, other stories that we should be telling, because if I can help facilitate that, that is a big part of my mission. Getting investment and funding for training schemes and shadowing so that we can show people into the industry at earlier stages is also a big part of my mission. And celebrating all of the other wonderful filmmakers and storytellers here. That is a huge part of what I'm here to do. So in order about what I'm looking for is more connection. We just keep connecting and actually don't feel that we have to exist singularly, or particularly because we're from a particular diaspora that we only do those sorts of stories, as Sergio was saying. It's actually about going, let's embrace the collective, because I think it was Jen or Martina was saying, we're the global majority. We just got to remember that.
Yes.
This minority, this underrepresentation, we're the global majority. So the sooner we can come together with that sort of mindset, the more we'll be elevating each other. But I'm going to love you on that. I'm going to say thank you so much for asking me to be a part of this. Blessings to all of you wonderful filmmakers. I can't wait to watch all your movies. And Elle and Makadi, I can't wait to see what you do next.
Jen, can I just say what a delight it is to have you as part of the film festival, and your Daisy was just exquisite. It was such well done. I can't wait to talk to you about Galapagos. Right, absolutely fantastic. But thank you for being with us, and we'll see you again. I think it's probably next Tuesday. Take good care.
Yeah, the same sentiments. This has been amazing. I think for me, I feel like what's really been the message right now is to move towards the diversity and inclusion message to more of an anti-racism message, right? I feel like there's diversity because, like I said, there's so many of us that are talented, and sometimes we even get included, but they don't listen to us all the time. I've been in many rooms, like now that I'm coming up and getting to do more opportunities, and I feel like that's kind of key. Like I'm in rooms where now I'm the director. And then when I say, hey, you know what? I actually wouldn't do it this way because there are sensitivities here. You have to listen to me and give me that credit and allow me that space. Yeah. And that is coming with an anti-racist mindset because you have to feel that I'm equal to you and that my opinion is equal to you. And that's the work we still have a lot of work to do. Even if we get in these rooms, if you're not allowed to let that Black creator or whoever the creator is have that say, why am I here? And I walk into many rooms like that. And I think my contribution to this conversation is to always contribute. I don't hold my tongue. I say what I want to say. I direct how I want to direct. Yeah. And it's taken me to have a body of work to say that's why I can do that. But I hold firm. And it's not easy, but I do it because I know that I don't want to be putting out something that doesn't represent what I feel that my people will be proud of or what I'm proud of, because I'm not always going to agree with everybody at all. So I think that, I'm going to continue. Like I have Afro, which I spoke to, that's going to be pushed into a series, and I'm meeting with networks and execs now.
Well done.
I have a couple of, thank you. I have a couple of feature projects that I'm writing, and I'm newly signed to an agent. So I would tell you who it was if I'm not still doing the paperwork, but I'm newly signed. So I think like my message is obviously like being a mentor, but also knowing your voice. Like I don't, like I said, I don't run away from who I am. Because that's why you could just pick another Black girl face. Why? Like just pick somebody else. So I think that when I talk, I hope people always understand it's authentic and it's who I am, and my work reads that. I can write about anybody, but I choose to write about Black people. Okay. And I choose to write about my experience because I feel it's unique and I feel it's not always represented. So whether you decide to explore, I think what Sergio said was amazing, like whether you decide to explore someone else's, you're always going to bring your perspective to it. And just stick to that. Like, don't let anybody tell you that your perspective isn't valued or that can't be a moneymaker, because it can. Like, they just need to see it as the it thing, as Martina was saying, of the moment. But once you're the it thing, you can ride that and you can bring a lot of people with you and you can really be impactful in this industry. So I say that with like love to all of you. I'm so like excited to always be in the present of greatness. And I'm sure I'll see you again in another forum or another panel, but just look me up, keep in touch, and let's do great projects together and make some money and make some people proud, because that's what it's about too, making good creative work.
I was just gonna interject something real quick, and because I have a lot of young nieces who are also up and coming directors, and one of the things I after 27 years in the game, one of the things I'm making sure a lot of my young brothers and sisters, and even my Europeans and people of all walks of life, when they walk in my circle, one of the things I say, once you get in that room, it's very, very important that you own the room, you own the space, you clear the space, you let everyone in that room know what you're here for before you start. And say, with all due respect, before we start this meeting, this is what I'm about. And I may offend some people with what I have to say. And you ask if you can really speak your mind. I think as artists, if we can clear the first 3 minutes before a meeting starts, when people walk into a boardroom, if we can clear our throat and say, listen, put my, with respect, put your hands up and say, listen, yes, I just want to I want it to be known that I'm a female, blah, 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 whatever it is I am, or I am, this is this. We're all aware of what's going on in an industry. And my goal is that we can all change what we're about to get involved in together and head down a different direction. Can we do that? I think once we put that out there in the atmosphere, we've already taken off the unnecessary load. We're forcing people with a very small-minded mentality to stop and think and say, you know what? Wow, we've never had that. Mm-hmm. I'm saying this because it's working right now. That's the way we have to approach from this moment forward. Mm-hmm. So we don't walk into the rooms like we used to do before. That's old. That's done. Mm-hmm. We're done with that. So I just thought I'd put that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Who else would like to go next? Please go ahead. Yes. Thanks, Sergio.
Okay. So yes, in my case, I always been attracted to things that I see. When I see injustice, for some reason I go and try to do something about it. And in this case, usually are movies. So from the movie A Day Without a Mexican, that was about immigration. And then I did another TV series about mental health. With Intolerance No More, that is about police brutality. Always trying to a friend of mine says that I wanted to change the world, but in certain, at least if I can affect one person with my movies, mm-hmm. for me that is worth it, Yeah. And some of these movies I've been putting my credit card and just doing it with my credit card and my friends. Mm. And then and with others, I didn't get paid for writing or directing because you have to pay the bills as well. Wow. But in my case, I always try to put hope at the end of my movies. There's mm-hmm. always have to be something that we look forward. Yeah. And it's not just to put the problem from different perspectives, but also to see forward and have some hope. That's the way I work. So now I'm in the middle of the pandemic. I'm producing and directing another movie that I'm shooting from Zoom in Taiwan, in Los Angeles, and in another world. So we are trying to put together that one in order to understand that we are on this together, and there is hope after this pandemic. So that's usually my body of work. And thank you for having me in this Zoom. I really feel honored to be among you guys.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you, Sergio, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again in more detail about your films. That's going to be fantastic. I'd like to go next.
So I'm working on a TV series about a Nigerian girl who leaves Lagos and moves to England for boarding school, and it's called First Contact, at the moment called First Contact, and it's just about sort of the clash of cultures that takes place when this happens. And I'm also inspired by Tyler Perry, still trying to figure out how to own my own stuff.
Yes. Yes. Actually, obviously you weren't here when Chibunde asked that question about the importance of owning your own stuff, and I guess compared with collaboration. So it might be quite good if you could speak into that, just about how we go about that, and to what extent do we need to collaborate, and do we follow the Tyler Perry model of creating our own audience and owning our own? Is that the way forward, or do we need something in between?
Fortunately, it can go two ways. Mm-hmm. I think it's incredibly important if we can collaborate. One of the beautiful things about our brother Tyler Perry, I love him so dearly, but he can't do it all. Tyler is like, man, I'm gonna write it all, man. I'm gonna write myself. I don't need nobody. You need a different perspective, and be open and willing. Like music, when you look at music, we share that. I'm part musician. I'm around musicians too, and I own my film company. It's about collaborating, because sometimes you may not have the funds when you're starting out to pay a writer, especially if it's a writer from your perspective that can get the job done and they're willing to meet you for coffee. Create the terms and conditions right then and there. You have 100, let's say you have 100 pounds. You own 100 pounds right now. Nothing is wrong. You are still ownership when you have this 100 pounds. Nothing is wrong with saying, listen, I can't afford to pay you this amount of money. What if I give you 15 pounds right now and give you something at the back end? That's another part Tyler Perry hasn't told you guys. Forget what the media is saying. I spent 27 years in the game and lived in America, so I know how this works. And as I get older, I understand it. Because if you look at Michaela Coel and a lot of people, as hard as she worked, she did, bubblegum, that whole thing. She still was not let through the back door to succeed. There was no transparency. What we want to do, all of us here, me, all of us included right now, regarding ownership, is be very transparent. As long as you are transparent, people would even come and say, you know what, give me a shot. I would write for you. How about you give me 1 point in the back end? You'll be surprised. I've asked for it and I got it. Oh, you can't afford to pay me? No problem. How about if I get this amount in the back end? Well, this is my fee. You can't afford to pay me this fee. The budget for your movie could be half of that is my fee. And I'm not here to rob you. How about if I do this, and you give me this at the back end? So you have to be willing, if you want to be a very powerful ownership, to share. I really beg you for that, to share. You will be surprised. You could even you'll be surprised. People would actually look at you and they go, wow, I like that. That's the only way ownership, or the journey to ownership, would work. Yeah.
Chibundo, is that helpful?
I'm sorry, because,
No, sorry, Oris.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I've never liked sharing, but okay. I consider.
No, my dear sister, you have to. I know how you feel. I know that feeling. And sometimes you could call me tomorrow, or call someone I know, or one of the hottest actresses in the world, and you'll be surprised. They will say, sis, you can't really afford to pay me to star in your TV show, but you know what? I love your idea. How about this? Forget the first class. Forget all of that. I'll take a bike to work. I'll bring my own packed lunch. But this is what I want in the back end. Because money up front is never a good thing in the movie industry. You got to look at catalogs.
Any industry.
This is how when Warner Brothers and people want to sell stuff, or when, man, this is where it goes into the billions. That comes after. So money up front, anybody you working with, even someone like me, I remember telling someone, I don't want that. Throw the money on the screen. This is what I want. I wrote on a nice handkerchief and I passed it forward. I said, I don't want that. Put the money in the screen. They were shocked. I said, I don't want that. I want you to put the money in the screen. I overheard you say you're going to struggle with special effects, correct? They looked at me and they were like, wow. Yeah. I'm like, put the money in the screen. This is what I want in the back end. So, sister, please, every one of you, share. It's okay to share. If we're all sitting here talking about how we want to collaborate and come together, woohoo! This is the price we have to pay. Yeah. And it doesn't, trust me, you have to. You could work with a kid that just came out of film school. You've seen his short film at a festival. Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Good DP. Camera. Director. He's amazing. Or she's amazing. You know, you really want to give them something to remember at the beginning of their career. You say, listen, you are very talented. I really like you. You're amazing. Here's what I'm going to do. Be sincere, be honest, be transparent, and say, how about if I give you this? You don't think that young, up-and-coming talent is not going to jump on it? It's fresh. He's fresh, or she's fresh. So when we walk away from this meeting, I want every one of you to really think about that. Think about that. Ponder on it. Thank you, Jen.
I wrote a pilot called Nonprofit. It's about the interlife of community organizers. And my cousin kind of worked in that world for a really long time. So it's kind of I was inspired by the work that she does. I was also inspired by Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
So it's basically like the inner workings of community organizers, but like community organizers that can't simply really organize their personal lives. So it's like kind of a dramedy comedy about the inner working life of people that do that work that is really, really, that's really great, hardworking work, but also the same people who don't necessarily know how to operate personal issues. So it's like, what if, Malcolm X basically, had to deal with like a parent-teacher conference, or what if he has to deal with his in-laws and stuff like that. So I think it's a really fun pilot that I really love.
Yeah.
I'm also working on 2 shorts this year. One of them is also about microaggressions between 2 people. It's just a really short narrative, just about a really intimate story about that, which I'm really excited about as well. And then I'm also currently writing a story about the last year I spent with my grandfather before he passed away. So it's kind of a slightly autobiographical story about it. That also kind of like a coming of age story. That's a person that's already supposed to be of age. So so I have a couple of things kind of going on at the same time.
Fantastic. Wow. Thank you. More power to your elbow. I think that's more than enough to keep you busy for quite a while. Ellen McCady.
Yeah, hi.
You go first.
So, like I said before, I'm working on, I did my play that was at the Bunk Theatre, Blue Beneath My Skin. I am working on a 3rd draft of that. It won the King's Head Theatre Award to go to have a slot there, Stella Wilkie Award. So I'm working on getting that on the road. I'm kind of interested in exploring the nuances of, there's a lot of umbrella terms, so like diversity is an umbrella term. I even think with black is an umbrella term, and I'm kind of interested in exploring the nuances of that. So you can be black and be Welsh, you can be black and speak with a British RP accent, and I think what Elle was saying before, a lot of roles that we've come across when there is a mixed race person, they're often quite streetwise or urban, and it sort of goes against our experiences. So I kind of, I want to, put up, represent stories that you don't necessarily hear, or things that aren't talked about as much. So yeah, with Blue Beneath My Skin, I'm kind of exploring that, and I would like to eventually adapt it into a screenplay, perhaps a TV series, and also obviously I'm working with Elle on our own project where we're sort of portraying this the flip side, or one of the other sides of being mixed race, which I'll pass over to Elle about.
Thank you, McCady.
Hi, so as an actor just coming out of drama school, again, like I mentioned earlier, in terms of searching for the roles that I want to do and that I want to play, are just human beings that have a story to tell, that can inflict and change people's perspective and minds. I mean, that's the reason why I became an actor, is to create stories that effectively change people's point of views, and as well, again, is not taking roles that are not meant for me just because I might be seen as somebody who's a bit more commercially appropriate to put on screen. And I'm waiting for that day where that happens, if I get offered a role that was made an actor or an actress who is black, to sit round and to turn and say thank you, but no thank you. Please give this role to someone who is black.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really important to be aware of your privilege and know how to use that going forward in the industry. And as well, to prove that you can be mixed race and be soft. And like Michaela said, you don't have to be given those top boy street roles. It's amazing, and there's amazing actors who can do those roles really, really well and have that experience to do that. But there's also a lot of us who don't have that experience. We're just human beings. So let's just represent human beings, and that comes in whatever form it is. And again, with the project that I'm doing with Katie, it's about doing a show on mixed race experiences. I mean, I've never seen a show on that. And I think giving people the representation that I never had coming into drama school and growing up. My experience of the industry has been pretty much whitewashed. Everything I liked when I was younger had white leads. It was well-known white shows that were commercial, and you sit there idolizing that. And then when you get into kind of going into drama school and then picking those roles, and then your teachers then say for your showcase that you have to do a piece that's street because that's the only kind of roles that you're going to get, or you have to learn to be stronger on stage because that's the only kind of roles that you're going to get. You won't get seen as anything else. To really kind of push that and go, no, I'm going to denounce that. I'm going to reject that. And so that other people can see growing up, hey, I don't have to be that. I can be whatever. And just have that same kind of influence.
Wonderful. For me, it's particularly heartening to see young and upcoming actresses being so aware of the issues, being so aware of their role within the whole system, and being so aware of their ability to make change by making simple but really profound decisions. So, obviously, I love these two ladies, but I'm really proud of that. So, Oris, any final words from you before we close out?
Wow. First of all, I just want to thank you guys for having me. Jenny Lee, thank you so much. It's been an experience. It's been a ride. I really watched a lot of all the films, and wow. I think, Al, you passed on my daughter. My daughter's 19, so she's half black, half Spanish. My son, Lucas, is half mixed. So a lot of my nieces are half Nigerian, half Jewish, all of them out of Lambda. And one of the things I've decided, one of the things I've made very clear to them is, they're all the same age as you guys. And I'm glad you brought what you just set up. And this has been an ongoing subject when what's her name had to apologize for playing, I'm talking about. I don't want to go there, but I would suggest you really, from the bottom of your heart, write down or make a list of the roles you really feel from the bottom of your heart you can play. And really take advantage of teaming up with Martina, McKady, all of you coming together. And it doesn't have to be you guys, but there are other young directors, all in the same category, all in the same age, because it's about connecting. And you guys actually come up with projects. They can be shorts that we could see in this festival or many other festivals around the world next year. That is where the world is going. I don't want to see this next generation waiting around for the big day. That's over.
Yeah.
There ain't no big day. It's gone. It's not working that way no more. For a matter of fact, agents and managers are about to be. I haven't had an agent for 5 years, and I'm working. People are coming straight to me. You know how? Through Facebook, through social media. So times are changing. I don't want to see this next generation waiting, hanging on You can't do that. Start creating your work. Michaela Coel did it very well, you know, and she is as dark as they come. And she created her own stuff. And even if it takes you a year to create this project, you guys are young, man. You're young. You're in your 20s. My career didn't start taking off till I was 24, 25, 26, 27. There's many of us like that. And then it was the last 7 years that I started, you know, not only I started to create my work, I started to hang out with writers who create stuff, and they brought it to me, and we look around, and that's how most of the stuff I have on Netflix, that's how they came about. So, you know, and I'm not Tom Cruise. I'm not the Queen of England, you know, guys that you could just pop in. There's a lot of us. Don't underestimate it. I saw a film, I sat through this film festival. I didn't know anyone. But one thing I would say, from all the films I saw, if you put those films with all the films that are known today, I can guarantee you, pound for pound, you guys will take them out. All of you here. Martina, all of you. Sergio, I saw your film. My goodness, so many different, wow. You had me on the edge watching that film. It was so powerful. So, and if Sergio said it very best. Sergio said, man, I bring out my credit card. I ask for favors. Sergio, man, you set the standard, because when I saw that film, and my wife, who's also a producer, we looked at it and she said, poor guy. We could see, Sergio, that you worked hard. We were like, oh my God, I could only imagine what he went through to get all of that. So Sergio should be a prime example. You know, Michaela, Ella, you guys should really start now. Really, really start now. Get those favors, get those directors, get those writers, work together, workshop it, work it, workshop it, work it. Boom. Go out there, Ella, perform it, film it, and you keep going. Before you know it, you're a young, you know, individual who's creating a production company from a younger age. That's my advice, and that's what I'm pushing out there.
Yeah.
You know, Martina, I don't have to tell you that. You, all of you, I mean, I see your films. You guys are doing the right thing. You're on your, but don't sit and wait around. And I believe in the Sergio's mentality. You know what? It's credit card, man. You know what? I don't care. I love this project. I'm going to get done with or without. You have to have that mentality. And then they come for you. You cook, it smells good, they would come for you. How bad do you think you can cook? Can you cook? All right, let's cook. Oh, come on, you know, you just went to drama school, all that stuff. No. You live with your parents, man, good. Mom, Dad got the bills. While they're paying that bill, in the meantime, get out there, young ones. Get out there, get that project started. That's all I have to say. I have to give it that way. I can't give you I'm not going to give it the proper sweet Hollywood no. I ain't going down that road.
Right. We need to have it straight. We said at the beginning, this is going to be straight. It's going to be authentic. It's going to be challenging. And it was amazing. It's also well over time. So I'm just going to say, Oris, thank you. That was an awesome way to finish up. Thank you for that bit of encouragement. I'm even taking it from me as a film festival organizer. Just, you know, it's just the principles of it. And we just need to go get it. Which is what we've been trying to do to create this platform for your amazing films, and we are grateful that you're here. So thank you so much to all the filmmakers. Thank you to the actors. Thank you to the directors and the producers, and thank you especially to Oris for coming in and really giving us that injection of energy and go for itness that we needed. We really appreciate you. Oris, of course, is on our jury, and it's just fascinating getting his insights on the films. I mean, I thought they were incredible anyway, but talking to him makes me see just how even more incredible they are. And so we're looking forward to having him share more of that later on, and seeing him, of course, at the closing gala. But for now, we are going to go. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. The recording will be online if you want to watch it again. I appreciate you all. Yeah, just go and do your thing. And good night. I will see you at the next screening. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.